she said, my name is Shifling. I'm the trainer here at MoxiWorks. So we're going to be going over Engage today. And so a lot of the great things that you can do with it. And I do want to say, this is Kirk Bighaus, and like I said, yeah, that is his real name. And not only is he here with us, but he is here with us right after his bachelor party. He's actually getting married in a couple of weeks. Let's give a round of applause for Kirk for getting here after his bachelor party. Okay. Good. Let's see if we can. Okay. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is talk about the spear marketing, and then we're going to go into MoxiEngage. So what we're going to look at, the quick agenda for today, there we go, is we're going to take an overview of MoxiEngage. So what is it, and what are the cool things that we can do with it? Why did we build it? Why do we want so strongly for you guys to use this, but why is it? Then we're actually going to talk about the goals from today. Now I know you're not going to remember every single word that I said. We're going to be here for a while, so I don't expect you to remember everything we talk about. But there are some things that I do want you to take away from today. And then of course we're going to go into Engage. So we're actually going to walk through the product itself. So how do we get in and how do we get started? Now after we do this, and then of course we'll do a couple of things before we actually jump in there, but then we're going to have a break. We're going to have like a 15-minute break, so we're not just going to power all the way through. And the other thing is, I don't just want to talk at you for this entire time. I do want this to be interactive. If you have questions, if you want me to repeat something, I know I talk really fast, but we do have some stuff for you guys here today. So for those of us that ask questions, let's try this out. Okay, so who's excited for today? Show of hands. This is the first one I saw. Okay, so this agent is powered by Moxie. So there we go. Where's the catch? That was in the bottom of the box. You're still looking, I think. Okay, so I do have a few questions for you today. We'll be throwing these out at you guys. And the first is, how many of you have a productivity tool right now? How many of you use a productivity tool? A couple of people. Anybody want to share? Which one? Anyone? No? Okay. How many of you have a CMA presentation tool? Yes, perfect. Is it much? It is! That deserves a tote bag. All right. Okay, how many of you have a business plan for the year? How many of you have a business plan? A lot of hands. You'd be surprised how many places I go and nobody raises their hand. That's nuts. But yes, okay, so we have a business plan. And how many of you have a monetary goal for the year? That isn't just make more than last year. I love it. Perfect. Okay, so the last question I have for you, and just shout these answers out, this doesn't need names, but how do agents find business? How do you guys find business? And just shout it out. There we go. Okay, so that was actually rhetorical. The NAR did a study and found out that the three most common ways that we find business is your existing sphere of influence, prospecting, and responding to internet leads. Now, that being said, how much of our time, in that time that we spend finding new business, how much of that time do we spend in each of these three sections? Again, that's rhetorical. So, they found that the average agent spends about 65% of their time in prospecting and internet leads, in finding new business. And then, of course, about 35% of their time with their existing sphere of influence. So those people that we already know. So I think we can all agree time is one of our most valuable resources, right? So how much do we think are we getting that return on our investment, spending our time this way? Well, we can see that with prospecting and responding to internet leads, there's about a 1% close rate. So all of those leads that we get, there's a 1% close rate. Whereas with your sphere of influence, that existing sphere of influence, those people that know us, like us, and most importantly, they trust us, there's a 70% close rate. You're 70 times more likely to close a listing having it come from your sphere of influence than somebody that you don't know. Okay, so our first brokerage decided to change up their math a bit. They said, you know what, we're going to spend most of our time, the majority of our time, where we have that highest close rate, where we have that highest place that we can get, our sphere of influence. Now, we're still going to do prospecting and responding to internet leads, right? That's still important. We still want to do that because people move away, we lose contact with people. We want to grow our database over the years. But we want to spend a lot of our time with that existing sphere of influence. Now, who can guess what happened? Increased, exactly. So they found that they made more money. In fact, they saw a 54% increase in annual GCI. Who here doesn't want to make 54% more money this year? Yeah. In fact, in the Pacific Northwest, there was a reported average of $136,000 per agent. All right, so each person, and this is our client, so all those people out there, each person knows 10.2 agents. So how do you become that agent of choice? So just by show of hands, how many of you feel like that first agent? A lot. How many of you feel like that 0.2 agent? Okay, none. Good. Okay, so next is our research study, and this is why. How do we become that person? Now, I know research studies are always tough, but bear with me for a second. The average buyer or seller takes about 9 to 21 months. This is a long process, right? But how long does somebody take in choosing a real estate agent? About 3 days. Somewhere between 1 and 3 days. So a lot of times it's really quick, right? They know somebody, they start to work with that person. So the trick is to be top of mind with all of those people that we could potentially be doing business with. So we'll want to have that top of mind awareness. And before I flip the next slide, when we close a listing with somebody, you go through this whole process, somewhere between 9 months and almost 2 years. How long does a person remember your name after you go through this whole process with them? 9 days. A year? That's actually pretty close. So yeah, the average is about 12 months. People will remember your name for about 12 months after we do this huge thing with them. So keep that in mind. Now there was a part of this study that said, okay, so you used this agent, what is the likelihood that you're going to use them again? Do you want to use this person, this agent again? 65% of people say, I absolutely would, of course. 19%, yeah, I probably would. And so about 84% said yes. Almost all of them said yes. But in actuality, only 25% of people used that agent again. And the buyers was even worse. So 73% said, yeah, I absolutely would use that agent again. 15% said yes. So almost 90% of people said, yes, I bought from this agent, I would use that agent again. And only 12% actually did. So what happened? The truth is that you're either visible or invisible. So they either remember us or they don't. They're going to pick another one of those 10.2 agents. So the trick here is to be that first agent and not that 0.2 agent that everybody knows. Okay, so what do we do? How do we solve this problem? And the answer is flow. Staying in flow with those people throughout their entire real estate career. So whether they're a first-time home buyer, or if you've gone through this process with them already, and it's 10 years down the road, when they think of real estate, I want them to think of my name. I'm the agent that they want to be using, because they've not only used my expertise, but they know that I have the expertise that they want to use. Okay, so sphere-based selling. Now this is focused primarily on that relationship building. We're talking about people that we know, like, and most importantly, they trust us, right? Those are those people that are in that 70% close rate. So, are those people, or are we as agents in flow with those people? And there's a few different ways that we can do that. There are a couple of magic phrases here. And one is, thank you. Hey, I saw you did some charity work. Thank you for doing that. Congratulations, you're getting married in 3 weeks. How about that? So now he's going to think of me, because I'm staying top of mind with that person. And then, of course, I was thinking of you, and so I was out gardening, and I saw that I have new flowers. Thank you, Kirk. Okay, so how do we stay afloat with people just in general? Now, this is the average life cycle of a relationship. One, we need to meet that person, right? We have to go out and network. Now, how do we meet those people? It could be at conferences, it could be at barbecues, it could be at a pool party, I don't know, anywhere. So we're going to network and start to get those people into our database. Then, of course, building those relationships. So not only is it that we're meeting with those people, we're talking to them, but we're sharing our expertise. right? We have that real estate knowledge. We want to make sure that we can share it. Then, of course, our community involvement and leadership. When somebody thinks of doing the biggest thing in their life, right? Buying a new home for their family, that is a huge life event. We want them to think of us as leaders in showing them the right way of doing this, right? As an agent, you are showing people the proper way to buy and sell real estate. So we want them to think of us as that, as those leaders. And then, of course, staying in flow with all of those people throughout their entire real estate career. So whether it's a first-time home buyer or somebody that has bought or sold 10 listings with me, I still want to stay in flow with that person. All right, so the best flow has these 4 qualities. One is value, right? So all of these contacts that I'm giving somebody, whether it be a touch point or whether it be information that I'm sending them, it is information that they can use, showing them that expertise. It's customized and it's personalized, right? Not everybody is the same. Everybody is going to have different expectations for what their next home is going to be. So we want to make sure that that information, those touch points that we're sending them, are personalized to them. And then, of course, it's that combination of art and science. So we want it to be pretty. We want them to think of this as, hey, that's a really cool thing. But there is methodologies behind each one of those touch points that we send out that we know work. So we're going to use those different criteria as touch points, and we're going to see that when we jump into Engage. Okay, so I have a question for you. One of the hardest things that I've heard being an agent is the peaks and valleys, right? So you close the listing. What do you do next? Buy a car? Anywhere? No, probably not, right? So we have to make that last in between our listings. And we all know, in fact, at MoxiWorks, we like to say that agents are the CEOs of your own business, right? I don't have a marketing team that's going to send out my marketing info, right? I don't have administrators that are going to do my paperwork for me. No, I have to do that. So that's where Engage is also going to help you. It's going to help you streamline that process and put it all in one location so that when you're going through that workflow, it's going to be that consolidation that's going to help save you time so that we can have more time to keep our head down working on transactions. Now, being great is not enough. It's easy to be a great agent in a hot market, right? It's like playing whack-a-mole with all the moles on. But when it's a slowdown, it's a downturn, it's a slower market, we still need to be that great agent, right? So the way we do that is have a system in place. Have that system that's going to bring those new leads in, whether it is that up market or downturn. I love this. Hope is not a strategy. What that means is that we want to be an on-purpose agent. Another way to say this is a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? We need to have that plan. We need to have that system in place in order to continue being that great agent. Okay, so the system created results. And again, that's being that on-purpose agent instead of an on-accident. We don't just want it to fall into our lap. Hey, maybe sometimes, but it's not always going to happen. Okay, so what is a system? What are the different qualities of a system? And the first is that you can hand it to somebody, right? I'm at the end of my career. I'm ready to retire. I'm taking my fortune, I'm going to Bogo, right? Well, what am I going to do with that system? Well, it is a system if I can take that and hand it to somebody else. Somebody else can work my system just because I've given it to them. That is a system. It also gives predictable results regardless of personality and regardless of the market, whatever the market's doing. We want to know that it's going to have those predictable results. No matter what's happening, no matter who you are, who I give it to, or what the market is doing, it is going to have those predictable results. Okay, this is a pilot. So we all know that pilots have a checklist, right? Now, in the 1960s, they noticed that there was an inordinate amount of plane crashes, and they couldn't figure out why. They checked the black box, right? Everything was fine. But what they noticed is that sometimes when an agent gets into the cockpit, they forget something that's really obvious. So now, and when a pilot gets into that cockpit, they go through the checklist. Now, we don't assume they don't know what to do, right? If you get into a plane, you know that that pilot knows exactly which switches to flip, exactly which pedals to push, right? We know that. But they still go through that checklist every time they get onto that plane. Another way to say this, and I love this, is that it's now October, right? It's October 1st. October 1st, you know what that means, right? It's only Oktoberfest! And it's only 8 weeks from Thanksgiving. So Exactly. So how many of you have prepared Thanksgiving dinner before? Great. Okay, so do you have all that stuff at your house right now that we're going to need for Thanksgiving dinner? 70%. Right. Well, not all seasoned turkey, mashed potatoes, and all that. Right? We want to remember all of those things. We need to have all those things for our Thanksgiving dinner. Well, how do we do that, right? A shopping list. We got to make the shopping list. Exactly. So even if something is really obvious, we want to make sure that we have that thing to check off to make sure that it gets done for every single person. And that's, again, where Engage is going to help you. Now you have these customizable task lists to make sure that I know, all of you know everything to do for your listings. But if we're working on 12 different listings, if we're working on a bunch of different things, it's easy to forget something obvious, right? Something like updating a title or getting an inspection done. Right? So we want to make sure that we can check all of those off. So we'll show you that we have these great task lists that were curated by the brokerage, but you can customize them. So no matter what your methodology is, you can still create your own flow and your process using Engage. Okay, so what is MoxiEngage? It's a productivity system that's designed specifically to help you achieve your goals. And it is connected to the MLS. So when you see your goals in there, if you've already closed listings so far this year, you're going to see them inside of your goals section already. You're going to go in and you're going to see them. You don't have to enter them a second time. And how many of you have used Photoshop before? A bunch of people. Love it. For the rest of you, I imagine you know what it is, right? It's a photo editing program. But Photoshop's not that hard to use. I mean, you click, you drag, and it does what it does. But the hard part about Photoshop is like 10,000 tools in it. So that's where Engage is going to help, is that we take the guesswork out of finding these tools. So when you go through that task list that we just talked about, if there's something you need to do, put something on your calendar, make a subscription, any of those things, it'll have a button in there that'll bring that tool to you. So if you see, oh, I need to do this thing right now, I don't have to go and find it. It's actually just going to bring it right to you. So we take that guesswork out. Okay, so here are the goals that I hope we take away from today. One is productivity. So we're going to go over a bunch of the different tools. And again, I don't expect you to remember all of them, but I do want you to think about how this is going to make you more productive tomorrow than we were yesterday. So think about that as we go through each one of these tools. Next is keeping your goals top of mind. So we have our goals, we have our business plan, and it's going to help you keep your goals top of mind throughout the course of the year. And then, of course, how easy it is to use. Now, again, we're going to go over a lot of stuff today, but for each one of these different things that we need to do, it's only a couple of clicks. So, in fact, you'll see when we get to the dashboard, there's only 4 things on it. There's 4 boxes. So we make it really simple to see a lot of really great information. Okay, so what's next? Well, we're going to go over importing your contacts first. So that is how to get your contacts from wherever they are now into Engage. Then we'll talk about setting your preferences. I know that might be a strange place to put that, but that is how we're going to update our sales flow. So how do we update our sales flow to be what our sales process is? Then we'll talk about organizing your contacts, and then the sales flow, because the sales flow is the heart of MoxiEngage, working with our transactions. Then we'll talk about setting your GCI goal, and of course, your touch points. So all of those ways we've talked about staying in flow with your people. How can you do that in Engage? And there's actually a bunch of really helpful, really cool tools that we can use. Sound like a plan? Hello? Yeah. I apologize for how loud this is back to me. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. From there. All right, so we're going to go into Engage, and this is your dashboard. Thanks, Ed. Okay. Okay, so let's really quickly go over our dashboard here. So we have our calendar. So we have our calendar up in the top left, and that is integrated with your Gmail calendar. So the one that we have that we keep all our stuff on, this is going to be where all of those events show up. So you're not going to have to enter them a second time. So this is going to be a good starting place. We're wondering, what should we be doing for the day? This is going to be a good place to go. We also have our sales flow. So at a glance, right on the dashboard, you can see how many people you're working with currently. So how many people do I have in each section of my sales flow? You also have how many people you have total. So I've got 63 in here. But that is all of your people. And then, of course, any new folks. So if you have new people, whether you put them directly into Engage, or let's say we meet somebody at a barbecue, and I put them into my Gmail, or I have it synced to my phone, so I put somebody into my phone, which syncs to Gmail, which comes to Engage, which is a really easy way of getting new people into Engage. You can see those people, and it's going to stay under new until we do something with it, right? I don't want this person to get lost in my database. So let's say I have 5,000 people. I don't want each of those people to get lost. I want to start marketing to them, right? I want to start that communication process. So they'll stay under here until we've done something. And then, of course, your goals. So your goals is right here on your dashboard. So whatever your goal is for the year, it'll be right here. We can see how close we are to it. Okay, so the first place that we're going to go is our contacts. So how do we get our contacts into Engage? Now, you'll see that I went to Gmail. So this is Chrome, and just so you know, this is your Google contact. That's not it. There we go. So we're going to go to contacts. This is Chrome, so it does have that integration because it's Google. But we go to Google Contacts, and it'll take you here. Now, who wants to wager a guess why we would put our contacts in the Google side? Why it's in here and not in upload directly to Engage? Yes? Say again?
It works as a backup.
It works as a backup. Good. Yeah, absolutely. So it does that. Security. Portability. Okay, perfect. All great answers. Realistically, the big answer is because we know that contacts are sacred, right? Your contacts are yours and nobody else can see them. That's why they live in Gmail and they are shown in Engage, but nobody else can see them. You're not your manager, not the brokerage. I can't even see your contacts. So they live in Gmail because if for whatever reason a meteor hits Moxie tomorrow, you still have all your contacts here in Gmail. So nobody else can see them except for you. Okay, so to upload your contacts into Gmail, it's really simple. There is the import button over there on the left-hand side. So you click on that, and then you can do it one of two ways, a CSV or a vCard file. So a CSV, all that means is it's a spreadsheet. If you have them in a spreadsheet, they can go in here. And a vCard file is for any of you that want to export your contacts from an iPhone, an iPad, or a computer, any of that stuff. So Apple exports your contacts in what's called a vCard. That's all it means, is I exported my contacts from somewhere in Apple. Okay, so once I upload those, we select our file, we can just pick it from our computer, and then your contacts will then show up in here. And here they are. Here are our contacts. Now, the other thing that I'll show you in Gmail, in this Gmail side, is your labels. And labels, once we get into Engage, are going to be called groups. So you can categorize your contacts into different sections of the sales flow, personal contacts, collaborator contacts, all of that good stuff. But there may be groups that we want to have in it, right? Our Christmas card list, our, closed transaction list, our FSBO list, all that stuff. You can have those in different groups. Now, if we want to do that here, we would do it as a label. So I've got a few in already, so I can just go through, pick a few people, and there is the label button up on top. So I can select our label, and then here are all the new buyers recently closed. So let's make them recently closed. There we go. So now I can see that label got added to all of these. Now, once we get into Engage, and I'll show you, so let's do that now. So I can go into Engage, and let's go to People. So up on top, you see that People screen. We're going to go to My People. There is a place where your groups show up. So it is actually on the bottom of this list. So let's keep that small. So we have groups down here. So any groups that you have that you've put into Gmail, or if you want to do it here in Engage, you can. So you can group those different folks. Great question. So the question was, how do you export them from Gmail into MoxiWorks? And the answer is, you don't. It syncs. So what that means is that when you put your contacts into Gmail, they will automatically show up here in Engage. So when you sign into Engage for the first time, it's going to ask you what email you want to use, and it's going to be the McColly email, whichever one you are using. You're going to sign in with that, and then any contacts you put into Gmail are going to show up in Engage. And any contacts you put in Engage are going to show up in Gmail as well. So that sync works both ways. Yes? How do you get Great question. So the question was is how do you differentiate personal contacts from business, right? Okay. So what we're going to talk about now is categorizing your people. So when you put all of your people into Engage, you're going to notice that they say uncategorized. Now we do that on purpose, right? Because I don't know if they're business or personal contacts, or if they're one of you guys, a collaborator, a photographer, somebody I'm not going to sell something to. So if I click on uncategorized, it's going to show me all of the people that don't have a category yet. So I can go to that Guide Me button on top, and this is how I would do it. This is how I categorize my people. And it's really simple. So it's going to show me how many of these people I have and the cards here. So let's say these top 3 people, they're all contacts. They're all people that I'm going to sell something to. So this first person, I met them at a barbecue last week, and I know they're not ready to buy or sell yet, but I want to start the process. I want to start to market to them. So we're going to create a marketing plan and select Create Plan. There we go. And it's not simple. Now that person is in the marketing section of my sales flow. So let's say these other 2 people, they're somebody I'm working with, somebody that has raised their hand. They said, I'm ready to buy or sell. Let's do it. So I can say client and a seller prospect. And I can say client and a buyer prospect. And there we go. So now those people are in a prospect section of my sales flow. They are now contacts that I'm working with. All right. So these bottom 3, let's say these are not people I'm going to sell something to. For whatever reason, they are other contacts. So this first one, Lucian Pest, this person's going to be my personal contact. So we're going to say no, non-client and then a person, right? And this could be anybody. It's Grandpa Lucian in Alaska, or my 2-year-old nephew that I have in here. I can make that a personal contact, and they'll still be at Engage. You'll still be able to see this contact, but they're not going to be in your sales flow. They're not going to count towards your goals. Yes? Good question, and I will answer that in just a second. So the question was, can I do this in bulk? So can I have a group of something and then make them all one thing? Very good question. Let me get to that in just a second. Okay, so next we're going to say Lucian Sawyer, another Lucian. This is a collaborator. It's one of you guys. I know I'm not going to sell anything to one of you guys. Or a photographer, or a drone pilot, or somebody else that's a collaborator. So we can make that person a collaborator. They're still in Engage, but they're not going to be a part of my sales flow, right? Now let's say, third Lucian, Lucius, in here. This is a non-client. Now, for whatever reason, this person has no business being in Engage. There are a few people that we may not want in here. So we can say remove from Engage. Now, again, this is not a proper delete of this contact because your contacts live in Gmail. So this is going to remove them from Engage, but they're still going to be a contact on the Gmail side. So if you don't want them to show up in Engage, we can just remove them that way. Okay, so back to your question, which was, can I make a group and then categorize them all as one? Correct, except for any of those that are non-clients. So I can go through all of these that, however many, so let's say I have agents or any of those collaborator or personal contacts, and I can do them all at once. So when you go through that process of categorizing somebody, it'll just be your clients by the time you get there. So we can designate them as collaborators or personal in bulk. But you can't do the categorization in bulk yet. That's something that we're working on. That's something our engineering team is trying to do right now, is put them into that category. Yes, sir? we're going to talk about when we come back to the break. So the question was, is if we have Zillow contacts or from some other partner, how do we get them to engage? How do we promote? Great question. That'll be the first thing we talk about when we come back from the break. Yes. Yeah, okay, if you have 2 Gmail accounts, will it sync with both or just one? Just the McColly. Just so you know. So you can have the second Gmail forward to the first one. So if you have another Gmail account, you can forward to the McColly Gmail. But it's only going to register the McColly Gmail account. It's just the one. Okay. Okay, a couple more minutes. Just give you, I think we're going to go one more thing, and then we're going to take a break. So just bear with me really quickly. Okay, so we've now categorized all of those people. We've put them into the different sections of our sales flow. Now, I do know that some of us have a lot of contacts, right? Some of us will have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. And that may not be something that you want to do. Now, it is a great first step. That is what we need to do. So if we want to just take a night, open a bottle of wine, and categorize our people, that's going to be a good thing to clean up our database. However, we at MoxiWorks, we do have a service that you can use if you'd like that will do it for you. It's called Concierge. And if you'd like somebody to put your contacts into here or clean up your contacts or anything like that, we can go ahead and do that. Whatever.
There we go. Yeah, so let's run through our support team. Costs, get away from that speaker, costs about $150, and basically you'll connect with the support team, and there's that little help button in the bottom right-hand side of the screen there. And that is the easiest way for you guys to get connected to our support team. You can easily search for some help documents, but you can also fill out this form and let them know that you're interested in the concierge service, and they'll be happy to help clean up your contacts and get everything set, so when you first log in, you're good to go.
Yeah, so all of our help docs are in there, and I'm on all of them, so if you want to hear my voice a lot, go ahead. Yes?
So in my CRM now, I have group of buyers and sellers that when I download it makes it a file.
Okay.
So when I upload here, I will
Great question. Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. So I was told it as well. So those are going to go into Gmail as the labels. Correct. Yes. Okay, so that's all we have before the break. We're going to come back, talk about your touch points, preferences, sales flow, and a few other things. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.